everybody, it's NerdX here. Well, I was thinking about all the rampant feminism that is dogging our beloved nerd culture. Well, that and the forced diversity, of course. They go hand in hand. Sometimes former may overlap the latter, or overshadow it, I should say. So, as you all know, the whole Star Wars situation has really bothered me. I've covered that at length. But other things like comics and such, I've also mentioned. So, let me just say this. I'm trying to think of a nice way to say this, but there really is no way to say it that without just being blunt. So I'm going to approach it. The entirety of nerd culture owes absolutely nothing to feminism, the quote-unquote diversity strength, or any other forced agenda, belief, and or indifference. It was on the backs of hardworking, mostly men, white men. Not like it really mattered, but there was plenty of hardworking women, and I don't like using this, minorities that worked on this. Which, it doesn't freaking matter as long as you give me a good story. You can be a 8-foot-tall, transsexual, half Asian, half black tribalman. As long as you give me a good story, I could give a flying fuck what you do. But forcing... Alright, say you write a story, and you envision that story to be with a certain type of person, and then you take it to somebody and they say, yeah, this is a good story, but can we take out the whole thing where he's a white man? That's a problem for us. What difference does it make? That's the character I envisioned. And here's the thing. That should be your right as an author, and is your right as an audience member to view that and say, oh, that's fine. Because alright, if you go to go see a movie, or go read a piece of literature, or if you, I don't know, you start playing a game, or whatever you do, whatever you're investing in, and you see a character, you should empathize, sympathize, and just, in general, feel a connection to, or enjoy seeing that character because of who the character is, what they represent and their actions. That's why you're drawn to a specific character. It should not matter if they're white, or black, or male, or female, or whatever thousand genders these SJWs think there are. Now, let me just preface this by saying, I lean more to the left, I would say, specifically on economic issues. On social issues, I am strongly more conservative. But I'm willing to listen to both sides because I'm curious to see what people have to say. Albeit, if you go to the extremes of right or left, you cannot have a conversation with them. But that is a little off topic. I just wanted to make sure that I'm explaining I don't have a bias here. I'm not saying, oh, I don't like women in my stories. I don't like minorities in my stories. I don't give a shit. As long as you write a good story, that's what matters. And I'm sorry, but The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens were not good stories. They make all the men look stupid. All the women have to be perfect or smart or sacrificing a heroine. And the men can't do anything heroic. Your main lead character was the audience is supposed to sympathize with and, be able to, something that these feminist SJWs don't understand, relatable, because not everybody shares their beliefs. For God's sakes. And she's not. She's absolutely not. Rey is not a relatable character at all. You're telling me I don't go anywhere and just pick up a sword and start being able to freaking duel it like I've been studying Kenjutsu for all my life. Or go into a Ferrari or something and just start driving around like I've been driving my whole life, or better yet, a freaking F-22 Raptor, and start just blowing shit up like I've been doing it my whole life. No, I don't do that, because nobody does that. You can't. But Rey, she could. She'd fly the Millennium Falcon. Easy. She can, you know, pick up a lightsaber and beat an experienced, I think you'd call him a gray Jedi, or a dark Jedi, or he's not full Sith yet, I don't think, or I don't know what the whole story with that is. I could really care less at this point. I have no interest in the story anymore. But I know I'm getting back on the Star Wars thing, but that's the most prevalent in my mind, and it really irks me. Fuck you, Kathleen Kennedy, the whatever CEO, director, whatever, at Lucasfilms. Fuck you. There's pictures of her. The Force is female. That irks me. And she said, we don't owe our male audience anything. And here is where the core of the video comes in. This is going to be my longest video yet. When these fucking companies say they don't owe men anything, they can shut the fuck up, because I am so sick of hearing, you're privileged, you're a man, blah, blah, fucking blah. And I'm sorry if you're offended by swearing, but I cannot stress how much this gets under my skin. And I try to be a reserved person. I hate violence. I really cannot stand it. I don't believe in hurting people. I believe that things can, be solved with words. If at all possible, compromise and be respectful to each other. Whoever you are, no matter what your differences are, be good to each other. But the alienation of what once was your base, who do you think buys all the merchandise, all the extended content, goes to see the movies many times over many years? Who do you think built up the franchise to fucking begin with? Nerdy little majority white men, and majority are white men. Of course, you have the minority men would be probably second. Again, we live in a majority white country. Of course, that's going to be like that way. So it's not like they're just not interested. They don't have the numbers. Percentage-wise, it could be higher for all I know. I don't know the actual percentages. But I'm just going by sheer numbers. That's what the majority of the audience is. And those stories were written that way, and they were written to attract young white men, because they like those stories. And I'm not saying to women that can't like it. There is a huge market for women that enjoy these stories. Maybe not so much in the past, but there definitely was. But not like now, because things are so, what's the right word here? So intertwined with everything has to be equal, which it's so stupid. Boys and girls are different. They are. Biologically, they're different. Mentally, they're different. They're different. There's nothing wrong with them being different. And that's fine. But you're not going to sit here and tell me that little boys and little girls are exactly the same. They're not. Little boys tend to be more rambunctious and like to get into a little more little trouble, and they like action and fighting and blah blah blah, that kind of stuff, and things that they think are cool like that. And there's girls who like things are more calm and more they like to dress up and look pretty. That's not all. I'm not painting everybody with the same brush, but majority rules in both categories. So if I had a product and I was going to market it to little girls, I wouldn't. And most little girls like, say, a pony or something like that. I'm not going to have that pony have machine guns on its side and fire laser machine guns and make it blood red. I wouldn't do that. I would make it nice and glittery and sparkly because that's what most of them would like. Some of them would like the other one, and that's fine. And if I was going to make something for boys, I wouldn't make it some sparkly little, doll. I would, I'd give him, I'd give him a gun and some armor and have him fight or a sword, something like that, because that's what appeals to them. And I don't like how people think, you're painting everybody the same or blah blah blah. It's okay to be different. You're all about different, but also you want everything equal. That's the thing that diverse and equal. I'm sorry, but they are basically the opposite. Diverse, different. Equal, same. So do you want diversity or equality? And I'm not saying equality as an equal treatment, because that's not what I'm talking about. Equal treatment is perfectly reasonable. It goes fine with diversity. Everybody's different, but we're all treated the same. But we are not all the same. Treated as equals legally and respectfully, but not as in who we like and what our biology tells us, what our minds tell us. We're not going to be the same. If we're different races, different creeds, different sexes, we're going to have different interests. And that's fine. There was different cases, there's plenty of outliers. That does not mean it's the constant. And furthermore, did these feminist SJWs build up the comic industry during their golden silver ages or their Renaissance? No. Did they build up Star Wars when it started up? No. And I'm sure that there were some minute aspects of it, yes. But majority, absolutely not. Did they build up, say, other things, like anime? During the anime boom in the 90s, did they contribute mightily to that? Not really. Some aspects, the gaming boom was mostly catered to boys, and that's who mostly bought the products. Again, all of those things have huge female markets, and females did contribute it, and more over time. But when those things started, to get to where they are today, mostly men were buying them. And you know what? You wanna know why? Because those people were shunned by the very people that bitch and complain about the things, well, it's not diverse enough, there's not enough women. You wanna know why? Because they weren't nice to them. Women treated those little nerds back in the day like shit. Big athletes and stronger men and whatever treated those men, those young little nerds, like shit. So why would they write them in their stories? Did you ever think about that? Think about the context. People, they love to throw up the past. So women had to suffer under man's rule, the African Americans and Native Americans, they had to suffer under the white man's rule. What about the suffering of those little nerds that didn't, that were into it, or were bullied and picked on for the things that they believed in? There wasn't a huge market back then. It became a phenomenon later on. So for them to sit there and bitch and moan that, they didn't get, they're not getting their fair representation, fuck off. You didn't help build the market. If you want to get into it now, that's fine. Write your own stories then. Don't try and shove your nose into ours because you see it's a big market. Oh, and by the way, and I love how they bitch and moan about it too. And then when because they're a small minority, but they have a big voice. These fucking feminist bitches, these annoying fucks. And then when these companies make changes to cater to them, what happens to their profits? Right down the fucking toilet. Because they're not the audience. They don't actually care about reading the material or watching it or playing it or whatever. They just want to find something and bitch and moan about it so they can feel good about themselves. Well, all your audience wants is good stories and good representation and continuations of things that they loved growing up, that meant something to them. That's why I'm sorry to go back to the Star Wars thing, but a lot of freaking fans they grew up on that stuff, and they really cared about it, and they loved it, and it made them feel part of something bigger than them, because they were having difficulties in their own life, and these fucking feminists, Kathleen fucking Kennedy, sitting there, the force is female, I'm not gonna cater to my male audience anymore. You know how disrespectful that is for the people who helped build the fucking brand, you greedy, money-hungry bitch? Oh. I'm sorry, but that's just how it is. If you disagree with me, I'm happy to listen to why you feel that way or why you disagree. But you better give me some really good reasons and, you know, examples. And if you're convincing enough, I will happily make a video saying, you know what, somebody told me this, and I was wrong. But until that happens, I'm not holding my breath. I'm not saying we can't have, you know, more female leads, or, you know, that's a problem, more diverse leads, that's a problem. Look at things Blade. I have no problem with those movies. African-American lead, that's fine. No problem with, let's see, Alien. That was good. Female lead. I had no problem with Terminator. Female lead. So, I have no problem with those characters, because they're well-written characters. So, the problem that I have is how well things are written, and how they're portrayed. Makes no difference to me whether they're whatever they want to be. So, stop with your little agenda that women have to be perfect, and men are garbage, and we need all this diversity. You don't. You need to make good characters. Relatable characters. Realistic characters. And by the way, most of this fantasy stuff takes place in different galaxies, different universes. Why do they have to apply to your whole deal? What's up? Again, with Star Wars, it's a different galaxy. With things like comic books, they have alternate dimensions that they go through. In Middle Earth is a different version of Earth, and Little Rings. You're not gonna go there and you know, expect to have the same thing that it is in life today. You wouldn't do that. It's stupid. So don't put your beliefs into something. Just write good characters, and stop trying to ruin already established franchises. You want to start a female-based franchise? Well, go right ahead, but don't go and destroy ours by shoving your crap into it, because I'm sure that story would work on its own if it wasn't connected to, say, Star Wars, or if their Marvel stories were not connected to Marvel, if there were their own separate, like, companies or whatever doing their own stories to try and get in that market. And then people say, well, it's not a big enough exposure, blah, 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 blah. It didn't exactly work out for the big companies that they're bringing down. Now, did it? Because people don't want to see that shit. People don't want it. Anyways, I'm really interested to hearing your thoughts, and like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you all. NerdX signing off.